Hey, it's Melissa from Bless This Mess here. I'm here today talking to you about cast iron. Cast iron skillets, cast iron cooking, cast iron Dutch ovens, they are one of my favorite things. I have been amassing a collection for a few years now, and one of the most common questions I get is, how do I cook with it? I thought it was supposed to be non-stick. I don't really like it. What do you do with it? So I wanted to show you today how to most efficiently use your cast iron. So this is a 10.5-inch Lodge cast iron skillet. You can buy these new. They'll run about $20 to $25. You can pick them up at most hardware stores. A lot of people are starting to carry different cast iron. It's definitely making a comeback. You can also buy vintage cast iron. And anything made before 1950 will have a really smooth, luxurious finish. I really like vintage cast iron. I had an old stove in our remodel that I didn't want anymore. So I put it up for trade on a yard sale Facebook page, and I ended up trading a man for a 14-inch cast iron skillet and for a 10-inch fryer, which is like a skillet but it has taller sides. And I thought I got the better end of the bargain. It was just this old olive green stove, and I got cast iron out of it. So I was super excited. So when I go to the thrift store or when I go to antique shopping, I'm always looking for new cast iron because I don't mind reseasoning it. I have a whole post on my site about how to reseason cast iron. You can look that up. And so I can do that really quickly. It only takes me a few minutes, and then it sits in the oven and I clean them up. And I give them away as gifts. I think that they make great wedding gifts. I feel like a cast iron skillet is kind of one of those things that everyone should have in their kitchen. So some of the complaints that I get are like, well, it's not very non-stick. So today I'm going to tell you 3 different ways, well, the 3 steps you need to take to make cast iron non-stick. So if you have like a new cast iron comes pre-seasoned, that means that it's ready to use. And so this is a well-seasoned pan. It's dark, it's shiny, it's pretty. So you would think that it's ready to cook, but it's not. So the first thing you need to do when you're getting ready to use your cast iron is to heat it. You're going to want to get your pan up to a nice high heat, especially if you're doing things like frying eggs or browning meat or cooking steak. So I set my cast iron over a medium to medium high heat, and then I will do other things. So I'm going to let this preheat for a solid 3 to 6 minutes. You might even start to see a little bit of smoke coming off the cast iron from other times where you've seasoned it, and that's when you know that your skillet is ready. Don't let it get too smoky because you can damage them with really high heat with nothing in them. But if it's just starting to get a little bit smoky, that's when I feel like they are ready to use for most circumstances. If you're using your cast iron skillet to do things like brown meat or to cook onions or to get the base for tacos ready, you don't need to preheat it because that meat is going to come with its own fat and juices and it won't stick. So this skillet, if I was cooking hamburger in it right now, I would just put my skillet on, put my hamburger on, turn it on to medium, medium high, and it's not a big deal because that hamburger will not stick. But things like eggs that tend to have a tendency to stick, it's definitely something you're going to want to heat up your pan. So the first step is to heat up the pan. The second step is to give it a coating of oil right before you're going to cook it while it's hot, and that creates a barrier between what you're cooking and the cast iron. And the third is to use a metal spatula. Some people tell you not to use metal on cast iron, but that's just not true. If it has a solid coating on it, the metal's not going to hurt it. You're not going to want to hammer at it, but having a nice thin surface to go in between your cast iron and what you're cooking like an egg is important. So heat your pan, get a little bit of oil or grease or butter in between what you're cooking, and use a thin metal spatula. Those are my 3 tips for having a non-stick cast iron skillet. When it comes to the oil that you use, you can always use a non-stick spray, which is very easy. You can also use things like a little pat of butter or even some bacon drippings. All of those are good options. Do you see that smoke? So there, I got a nice hot pan. I have beautiful fresh eggs. Look at that yolk. That is a super fresh egg. So I just like to do a little bit of salt and pepper. So a non-stick skillet made with Teflon will always be very, very non-stick. Teflon is a chemical compound that does not let things bond to it. So you might have to get used to it not being Teflon, but this still is very non-stick, and it's definitely worth the effort. Teflon is one of the things that we took out of our home early on when we were trying to be a little bit more healthy, and I definitely don't think anyone should cook with it. So this is definitely worth replacing. You see how it just slides in between, super non-stick. After it cooks a few minutes, you just flip it over. Oh, look at that yolk. This is when you need a piece of toast. But even that yolk isn't going to stick. So after your egg cooks to your liking, just take it out. The handle is hot, but look, there's zero things sticking. It's perfect. So I just turn off the heat. I will use a paper towel, and I'll just, because there's some residual grease, there's a little bit right there, so look, it's totally clean. And then I will use a paper towel to wipe that residual grease from my spray or my butter, and then you have already reseasoned it. So this is done being cleaned. Nothing stuck to it. Use a paper towel to wipe out any extra crumbs, and then spread the grease all around the bottom, and you are ready to put up your cast iron until next time. See, it's super easy. Cast iron is something that everyone should have in their kitchen, and I hope that I helped you feel more comfortable using it. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I can't wait to see you again.